Greetings, citizens, and thanks for tuning in to Nindie Nation. I'm Jeff, and today on episode 203, we've got another shorter week, but just like last week, it's another one with a lot of variety. Let me know what you think of this week's releases down in the comments. Come join us on Discord to hang out with your fellow citizens. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with others, and let's get right into it. These are the 8 new notable Nindies hitting the Nintendo Switch through Sunday, January 28th. We start with the Nindie featured at the end of last week's episode, as Lil Guardsman drops on Tuesday the 23rd for $19.99. As the first release by Toronto-based Hilltop Studios,
I wonder if they're actually on a hilltop.
It sure does look gorgeous, doesn't it? This is a social deduction game, which means you're talking to people and using various tools and clues to make decisions, and then those decisions chart the course for how the game will pan out. The most prominent examples of this genre include Papers, Please, where you play as a TSA agent, and Sort the Court, which has a similar premise to Lil Guardsman. As a 12-year-old covering your dad's shift at the castle gates, you'll interrogate over 100 humans, elves, goblins, and other medieval fantasy creatures, then decide whether or not they're allowed entry into the kingdom. You have a few detective-style tools at your disposal, as well as the ability to rewind time, and you'll use all of those resources to help you guard the castle gates. Your decisions will then change the fate of the kingdom and overall course of the story, which I would imagine should lend well to replay value. And the game also has a quirky sense of humor that should make all of those future replays just as fun. May 1992. Johnny Carson hosted his final episode of The Tonight Show, Encino Man hit theaters across America, and the world was exposed to the terrors of Achy Breaky Heart. That month also saw the release of Steel Empire, the side-scrolling steampunk shmup by Flying Edge for the Sega Genesis. Well, the other game releasing on Tuesday this week just so happens to be The Legend of Steel Empire, which is a brand new reimagining that's actually helmed by the co-director of the original. How cool is that? This time coming to us from NN Games, it maintains the steampunk vibes and even lets you fly the same blimp from the original as you seek to destroy the evil Motorhead Empire. I like that this game has a bit more story than usual, and even includes some light RPG mechanics to help with progression. If you're into retro shmups, this is a pretty unique title that's probably worth checking out. It might be a little pricey at $24.99, but hey, that's what the wishlist is for, right? Moving on to Wednesday, which as usual is reserved for East Asia Soft's weekly release, is the top-down action-adventure Saga of the Moon Priestess for $5.99. Now, I gotta say, I cracked up when I saw the developer's name for this game is Pixel Trash, because that'd basically be like me renaming this channel to
Game Trailers while some dipsh regurgitates game descriptions.
But nevertheless, this looks like a pretty fun time. Seems to be most inspired by Link's Awakening, at least visually, and includes all the dungeons and heart containers and items you'd expect from a game like this. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in guiding Sarisa the Moon Priestess on her quest to save the prince, and in the meantime, this dipshit's gonna pull up another trailer. Hidden Through Time 2, Myths and Magic is the first game up on Thursday the 25th, and this series always makes me feel bad for the Belgium-based developer Rogueside. You know as well as I do that there's an absolute mountain of find the hidden object garbage on the eShop, but here's the thing. This one is good. I watched my daughter play through the original a couple years ago, and we both had a great time. It includes a story and is perfectly suited for younger kids, and just like the original, it includes a level maker, which was a really fun activity for my daughter and I to play together. They've now added a mechanic that changes the season or time of day, and the updated Architect mode lets you make your own characters and structures too. If you have kids that happen to be into this kind of stuff, I highly recommend the series. And at $12.99, I think you'll get a lot of mileage out of it too. And up next on games that I was going to ignore but then saw really positive reviews for the PC version is Arcade Tycoon, which is probably exactly what you think it is. It's developed by Squid Punch Studios, an England-based team of 2 from the town of... Wait, am I reading that right? Stoke-on-Trent? Hold on a sec. Huh. That is a real town. Oh, and look, it's a 13-hour flight from Nindie Nation HQ. Anyways, you build and manage an arcade, its maintenance, finances, staff, and all of that stuff, but unfortunately it happens to have a massive Switch tax of $20, with the Steam version being only $10.
What?
So if this does look up your alley, you might want to wait for a sale. Tax Game Studio is a solo operation based in Amsterdam, and I was a fan of his bizarre Wii U release Radiant Flux Hyperfractal, so let's see what his latest game is all about. UFO Henfield is a point-and-click adventure for $8.99 that features one of the derpiest main characters I have ever seen. I love his thinking face when you open up the inventory. I mean, look at that. After a friend goes missing, you receive a letter that leads you to a mysterious alien mansion that's full of puzzles scattered across multiple time periods which you will traverse with your UFO. I know about as much about the game as I did before just reading that, but if you like what you see and you happen to be into bizarre point-and-click puzzle adventures with quirky humor, this might be worth checking out. And last up on Tuesday the 25th is Arkane Studios' Starward Rogue, which released on PC way back in 2016 and has received very positive reviews ever since. You pick from 9 different mechs and explore a series of catacombs that are stuck in the side of a star. And get this, with 3 episodes under our belt so far in 2024, this is the first game that lets me say Starward Rogue is a twin-stick shooter with procedurally generated levels, rogue-like mechanics, and RPG elements! Woo! The faster arcade-style pacing is compared to Enter the Gungeon, but it seems most players really appreciate the hundreds of weapons, abilities, and upgrades, even going so far as to comparing the variety to what you'd see in The Binding of Isaac, which is pretty high praise. The difficulty ranges from, quote, relatively easy to nigh impossible, and while its price tag of $13.49 might seem a bit high amongst a sea of similar games, reviews suggest that this is one that's worth putting on your wish list. And last but not least is Ratalaika's usual Friday release, which brings a $9 price tag because it's actually 2 games bundled in to the Adventures of Panzer Legacy Edition. Funded via Kickstarter, these titles were developed specifically for and actually released on the NES. There's a lot going on here, with obvious influences like an open-ended Mega Man structure with levels themed around each of their own bosses, a story presented in similar fashion to The Adventure of Link, and multiple playable characters a la Castlevania 3. The gameplay also blends all of those styles together with a lot of traversal, environmental puzzles that require specific character abilities, and of course the aforementioned boss fights. Toss a comedic story into the mix, and you've got 2 retro games that seem pretty darn ambitious. It's developed by Pixelcraft, and the more I look into it, the more I like what I see. What do you think about another shorter January week of Nindies? Some retro NES action tickling your fancy? My picks are Lil Guardsman and Saga of the Moon Priestess, but let us know down in the comments if you're picking anything up, or come join us on Discord to keep the Nindie conversation going. As far as next week is concerned, I see absolutely nothing of note on the radar, which sometimes means we've got an indie world on the way. But hopefully not, because I'm actually going to be out of town next week, and then our Game of the Year video is up next as soon as I return. Might try to throw a deals video out there or something else in the meantime, but otherwise, I'll plan to see all of you right back here on February 7th. Thanks so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing Nindie Nation with others. Until next time, I'm Jeff. This has been Nindie Nation episode 203, and remember, no matter what type of game you're looking for, Nindie Nation will be right here to help you find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced.